Hello there, and a very warm welcome to Chazingdra Chats, the show where we take a stroll through the life stories of people in the Pokemon community, discovering the 6 Pokemon on their dream teams along the way. I'm Charlie Merriman, otherwise known as Chazingdra, a host and commentator for the Pokemon Video Game Championship Series, and a content creator, merry by name, merry by nature. And this week, as every week, I very much hope my guest and I can make your day merry, because I have the pleasure of being joined by EternalRadiant, otherwise known as Angelo. Angelo, how are you doing?
Hello, Charlie. I'm happy to be here. I'm doing great.
It's fantastic to have you here. As I said to you just before we started recording, I had a comment a little while back now recommending that I should get you on as a guest. So I'm thrilled to be able to do so. I've featured a good range of shiny hunters from the community at this point, and very pleased and very fitting that you will be joining them now.
Yeah, it feels nice being in the ranks among... I know I watch a lot of your podcasts, and I know like Blue was on here, Arlie as well, everybody. So that's awesome. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I'm working through your wall slowly but surely. But yeah, it's brilliant to have you on the show. And for anyone who's not so familiar with you, Angelo, can you give a brief introduction to yourself?
Yes, my name is EternalRadiant, or Angelo, and I make shiny hunting content on Twitch and YouTube. I upload a lot of my reactions to finding shinies, and if you guys don't know what my channel is, along with finding the shinies, I also train them up. So that's like my unique aspect. I'm working on a shiny living dex, which, if you guys don't know, is basically having every shiny Pokemon in their unique species as well. So like for Bulbasaur, for example, you need 1 for Bulbasaur, 1 for Ivysaur, 1 for Venusaur, the entire line. So that is my like channel goal, to complete a shiny living dex, all like level 100 and trained up. So that is the goal.
It's a fantastic angle to have for your channel. I can't really state enough how long haul that journey is, how epic that quest will be. The shiny Pokemon, for anyone unfamiliar, vanishingly rare, alternately coloured variants of Pokemon that are otherwise no different from regular Pokemon, but of course they're highly prized for that rarity, and they sparkle on encounter, and it really is a thrill to find them. So not only finding one of every single species of Pokemon, as you say, but also training them up, getting ribbons on them, that's another... It's a completely different angle to it as well, a competitive angle. And it really does blend two things that... two very different things, but both of which the Pokemon world offers to us. And this show, my channel, is all about the broad range of what Pokemon offers to us in terms of the challenges we can set ourselves. So
exactly.
It's fantastic to hear, Angelo, and you're a very good fit on the show. Now, Angelo and I, of course, we haven't met in person. We're working with now a 7-hour time difference, actually, because I also learned the hard way that the clocks went forward.
Yep.
over
savings,
where you are over the weekend. So Angelo said, okay, I'm ready to go. And I was like, I thought we were recording in an hour. Thank you very much, Angelo, for your accommodation on that front.
Of course.
Yeah. But thank you also for going along with my random message out of the blue inviting you on the show.
No, obviously I was super excited when you hit me up. Yes, as someone who's watched a lot of your podcast episodes before, so I was really honored that you invited me on. And yeah, I'm excited to chat with you today.
Well, that's really kind of you, and the pleasure's all mine. So let's do it, shall we, Angelo? Let's dive right in. Let's discover your life story topics and your 6 Dream Team Pokemon. So what we're going to start with, and thank you so much for your honesty with what you're sharing with us today. We're going to start with a difficult time that you experienced in 2nd grade.
Yes. Okay, so in 2nd grade, my life kind of went downhill, and I was really young at the time. So basically, my dad, he went back to the Philippines to attend a funeral for one of his family members, and somewhere along the way, he lost his visa, so he couldn't make his way back to the States with us. And so yeah, he took my brother with him. So basically, my mom and I were here in LA, and my brother and dad were in the Philippines. So like, our family was cut in half early on. And it didn't take until 8th grade to finally reunite. So a whole 6 years of just, it was a struggle. So we were working off of a single income family. Basically, my mom was working, the only one working, and she would send some money over to the Philippines. And you know how rent is in LA, it's super expensive, so we were constantly moving. we couldn't afford like a whole apartment, so we would rent rooms in other people's homes. So basically living with strangers for a while and making do. And Pokemon was like a big, you know, escape from like the harsh reality, I guess. And yeah, like after years of begging, we couldn't afford any video game consoles, obviously, because of the hardship. But it wasn't until I think end of fourth grade, for like finishing the term with like straight A's, my mom gave me a DS Lite with a copy of Platinum. So that was the first ever Pokemon game that I owned. Before, I would always borrow my friends' games, namely Emerald. So Emerald was the first game I played. But the first game that I owned properly myself was Pokemon Platinum. So that game will always hold a special place in my heart. Yeah.
Well, I mean, words can't really do justice to the distress, frustration, and far more intense emotions that everyone must have been going through.
It was rough, yeah.
At that time.
Yeah, it was very hard. But I'm proud of my mom for sticking through it. And like the reunion was super sweet. And I'm just glad that like our family's back together. So the fact that we survived that hardship just, I think, further increased our bond. So like,
yeah,
nothing can, damage it anymore because we gone through a lot together. That's how I see it.
Yeah, well, I think that's a really, really mature and incredible outlook to have on things. Taking the positives out of what was, of course, an incredibly difficult situation. Wow. Okay, and then it wasn't until 8th grade, so 6 years later. It's well, again, I'm very sorry to hear about that, Angelo. As you were growing up, taking a slight sidestep from what we were talking about there, the fact that your mum eventually got you a copy of Pokemon Platinum suggests that, you were interested in Pokemon. So were friends around you, people around you playing Pokemon at the time? It was something you wanted to get into?
Yes. Okay, they were playing, I think at the time it was Diamond and Pearl. That was like the latest games. So they were playing that, and they were also collecting the Pokemon cards. So I think Pokemon cards were super popular back in elementary school, that they had to ban them because people were what's it called? They were just getting distracted from like during recess. That was all they would do, play Pokemon, which was it was a fun time. So I have fond memories of just playing the games, collecting cards. I saw the artwork. I got intrigued with a lot of the Pokemon designs, so I just fell in love right away.
Yeah, well, that seems like as good a time as any to ask you now, Angelo, what's going to be the first Pokemon joining your dream team? So, as a reminder, everyone, the aim here is not for Angelo to build the most competitively viable team in any way. It's just the Pokemon that have been the most special to Angelo over the years, and Angelo can define that for himself in whichever way he would like. So, I have no idea what they are. Angelo's decided on these in advance. So then, Angelo, it's time. Tell us what's going to be the first Pokemon on your dream team.
The first Pokemon, okay, it was a toss-up between two Pokemon, and I ended up just narrowing it down to my choice. So the options were Infernape, which was my starter in Platinum. First Pokemon I got to level 100 with. I absolutely adore Infernape. Second one was Lucario. And ultimately I ended up picking Lucario because I think over the years Lucario has stuck with me more. Lucario, I have vivid, fond memories of grinding in Victory Road for hours and hours, trying to get that guy to level 100. It was super fun. I would just like watch anime or like cartoons on the side while, mashing A, grinding levels. And I just thought Lucario was so cool. I loved the Mystery of Mew movie as well, growing up. And over the years, it got its Mega in Gen 6, and that just made me love it even more. I love Lucario. A lot of people don't know this, but Lucario is one of my favorites. So that is the first Pokemon on my dream team.
Okay. So was it the first Pokemon that you endeavored to get to level 100?
No, that was Infernape, but Lucario was number 2,
okay.
actually. It was number 2, which is why I had a hard time picking between those two.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think what specifically was it? Do you think that nudged Lucario as your choice here? Was it also those memories of the movie specifically? And if so, what was it about the movie that spoke to you so much?
It was a combination of a lot of things. The movie, and like I said earlier, it just stuck with me over the years. Whereas Infernape kind of got overshadowed by new favorites. Lucario has always remained one of my favorites. So, yeah. Like for the longest time, Chimchar, like the entire line was my favorite starter line. And as you'll find out later, they got dethroned, sadly.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very exciting. And yeah, what was it about the movie, do you think, that spoke to you so much?
I think it was like the whole aura thing. The kid in me was like, aura is so cool. Like Ash had aura. And the message behind the movie as well. Like it was so sad. He had a cool design, number one. Number two, he was loyal. And loyalty is big for me. So yeah.
And yeah, and just for anyone who's unfamiliar, when you say the aura thing, can you just briefly explain what you mean by that?
Yes, aura. Okay. Aura is basically the bond or like the connection, the feeling between Lucario and Ash. So they had like a strong connection. And it happened later on because it was like foreshadowing because Ash later on had his own Lucario. So their like aura, their bond was also just as strong as like in the movie. So that was really cool to see as well. Like when Ash got his Lucario in the anime, I was so happy. I was like, finally. So
fantastic, yeah. Well, a very worthy first member of your team. So Lucario, welcome to Angelo's Dream Team. And everybody, if you're enjoying this chat with Angelo, please do like and subscribe, as Angelo can attest to. It does go such a long way and far further than it might initially seem. Thank you so much, Angelo. And I mean, we've got a far more conversation to have, so let's keep going. Let's move on now to... So, you slightly... you alluded to this earlier, but yeah, it was borrowing games that introduced you to Pokemon.
Yes. It was so my friend, they had a Game Boy, so I would borrow their Emerald, and then later on I would borrow their copy of Pokemon Blue. So that's how I played through Kanto first. And obviously I played through all of Emerald using their game. But it was nothing tangible because it wasn't like they were obviously going to reset the file after I finished the game. So a lot of the Pokemon I caught in that file are just no longer existing. So yeah, that's when I really begged my mom, like I said. Like we had like a really good deal. If I do good in school, then she'll gift me a copy of a Pokemon game and a DS for my birthday. So that's what basically happened. Like I really tried to study in school, which... Yeah, I was like early on in elementary, middle, and high school. Like I try to keep my grades up, keep my parents happy. So that's always been a big thing. And she rewarded me with the DS Lite and Platinum, which I was super excited about. And yeah, I absolutely love Platinum. I loved playing through that game. I loved the DS Lite. That DS Lite, no longer with me today. I don't know what happened to it, but
oh no,
it's so sad. But it basically survived all those years. It basically played Heart Gold Soul Silver, Pokemon Black and White 2, and my next console after that was a 3DS or 3DS XL, I believe. So all those years, that DS Lite really served me well, I would say.
Well, I think we're going to talk more about that in the next topic that you've mentioned here. So to go rewind a little bit back to the games that you'd borrowed from your friends. So you played Pokemon Emerald before you played Pokemon Blue.
Yes. So I played it out of order. I played it out of order.
So yeah, Pokemon Blue, of course, part of the first generation Pokemon games, Pokemon Emerald, Generation 3. How was it going back from Emerald, where, being for the Game Boy Advance, the graphics were enhanced and all sorts of things, then going back to the origin of it all, just a Game Boy game, Pokemon Blue?
I loved it. I like the retro feel of Pokemon Blue a lot. And even though there's like a significant graphics, difference, I still enjoyed the game. So I guess playing Pokemon Blue really enhanced my love for Pokemon even more. Like had I just not played it at all, I'm glad I got to play the original Gen 1 games at least once in my life, because I haven't gotten the opportunity to play them again since then. So, yeah.
Very good. Wow. Okay. What was the first partner that you chose in Emerald, and what was the first partner you chose in Blue?
In Emerald, I was Team Mudkip. I love Mudkip so much. So yeah, Mudkip was my starter. And Blue, I chose Charizard or Charmander. So yeah, the mascot, or not really the mascot, but like one of the faces of Pokemon, Charizard. So that was my first Gen 1 starter.
Wow, okay. Did you play Generation 2 as well?
Okay, I did not play Generation 2. The only chance I got to experience Generation 2 was through Heart Gold Soul Silver after Platinum.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sure. Fair enough. Well, we'll talk about that in just a moment. So now it's time for the second Pokemon on your Dream Team. Who's going to be joining Lucario?
Joining Lucario is... Okay, some backstory behind this. My favorite type in Pokemon is Dragon type. So, I love Dragon types. I think they're so cool. And Generation 4 is... like the game I started with the first game I owned. So we all know the Dragon type of Generation 4. Garchomp will be joining Lucario, and you can see a theme going on here. Lucario, Garchomp, they're all a certain trainer's Pokemon. But I promise you that's the final one. That's the final one. But yes, Garchomp. I love Garchomp. The design is so sick. Like a land shark? Are you kidding me? That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh man, facing Cynthia's Garchomp. It took 2 tries, I believe. So the first time I lost, I straight up just lost. I got swept by Garchomp. Second time, I came in with a bit of higher levels, some more revives and hyper potions, and I was finally able to beat her Garchomp. And I think the fact that Garchomp was so scary to face, I was like, I need one on my team right now. So again, like with Lucario, I went for a Gibble and then I just grinded Victory Road until it was level 100. So,
wow.
Again, very fond memories.
Also, another theme developing here of just the amount of time you'd put in order to reach that ultimate goal of level 100, no matter what it took.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, did you find that grind process fun?
Yes, it was fun for me. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed, like, especially when you level up, like the stat page where it says like +2 in like the stats. Seeing the stats go up, like the higher numbers, I don't know. That's what kept me going. Like I just wanted to see my Pokemon get stronger. So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. No, I'm like you. I really enjoy a game that requires a little bit of a grind to be put in. I agree. I find it really satisfying, and obviously it paves the way for shiny hunting too. But I know we'll get onto that in a little while. As you say, Garchomp, one of the powerhouse Pokemon. So these Pokemon that appear later on in the Pokedex and have very, very high stats. And Cynthia, yes, the champion of the Sinnoh region in Generation 4, the toughest trainer, the big boss, so to speak, in that game, and Garchomp is a sort of signature Pokemon that she uses there.
Yes.
And yeah, Garchomp and Lucario, both on her team, and also, of course, both Generation 4 Pokemon. So that's another theme that's developing here. Garchomp, welcome to Angelo's Dream Team. Now, we're going to race over from there into a little bit of a deeper dive now into your playthrough of Platinum and beyond.
Yes. So my playthrough of Platinum, I played through the game several times. So I was one of those who basically, after one run, I would reset my file again so I could play with a different starter, different team of Pokemon. I think I did it 3 times, but after the 3rd time, I'm like, all right, I want to keep the Pokemon in my that I encounter, and I basically found out later that you can transfer them up to future games like Heart Gold Soul Silver, all that stuff. So that's when I stopped making new files and just played the one. But my first playthrough was with Infernape. Who else did I play with? Oh, B-Barrel. B-Barrel, because it knew all the HMs, obviously. Staraptor, which is, in my opinion, like the best like starting bird by far. So I love Staraptor. The design is sick. So it was Infernape, B-Barrel, Staraptor, which you find very early on, obviously. What did I have? I believe it was Roselia as well, or Roserade at the very end. So that was my grass type. That's 4. Luxray. Luxray, yeah.
You're right.
So, I don't know why, like, early on, I would just catch the first thing I see and just add it to my party, and I never switched it out. So, a lot of the early route Pokemon stuck. Staraptor, Luxray, B-Barrel, like, those are all Pokemon you find in, like, the first 2 routes of the game. But they basically stuck with me the entire playthrough. And it wasn't later on until Gibble. That was like the final team member, Gibble. That was like very late into the story. So that was my first team. A lot of early route Pokemon and then Garchomp. The very end.
Yeah. It seems like sort of quintessential Generation 4 team that, but wow, fascinating one. And that must have been yeah, I totally get the desire to just want to keep starting new games and trying out new things. That's obviously one of the joys that Pokemon provides. But then with the save file that you stuck with, what is your overriding proudest memory from that save file?
Actually, that save file that I stuck with was a solo Infernape run. So,
wow.
Yeah, I basically, like, by the time I beat Cynthia, my Infernape was, like, level 80 something. Way over leveled because otherwise Cynthia would destroy me. So that was, like, another reason why Infernape... It was so hard picking between Infernape and Lucario, but Lucario ultimately won. Infernape still holds a special place in my heart, obviously. And yeah, the file that I stuck with was a solo Infernape run. After I beat the game with Infernape only, that's when I started catching other stuff. Like the Lucario that I got to level 100 with, and the Garchomp as well. So yeah.
And so then you said from there, Heart Gold and Soul Silver came along.
Yes. I bought a copy of Heart Gold. No, sorry, it was Soul Silver. Bought a copy of Soul Silver with the Pokewalker. So, if you guys don't know, the Pokewalker, you basically put in your Pokemon in there, and then you walk around, they gain levels. It was a neat interaction. And yeah, lets you bring your Pokemon anywhere. I thought that was so cool. So Soul Silver was my next game. First time experiencing Gen 2. And I really loved it. So, from the get-go, I really enjoyed the Pokemon following you around. That was so cool to me. And I chose Totodile. That was my first starter. And I will be picking Totodile in the new game. So, Team Totodile. Woohoo!
Yeah. Pokemon Legends ZA, which of course at the time of recording is coming later this year, but we've recently seen a new trailer for it. Very exciting times. Totodile in that game. Wow. Okay, and then what did you take from your playthrough of Platinum into your playthrough of Soul Silver? Did you do another sort of solo run, or were there new discoveries that you made through playing through Soul Silver?
I basically just wanted to use Pokemon that I didn't use before. So, it being Gen 2, there's a lot of Gen 2 mons that weren't in Platinum that I wanted to use. I used Ampharos because I loved Ampharos' design. I thought it was such a cute electric attacker. So, Ampharos was there. I wanted to use Tyranitar as well because, obviously, being the powerhouse Pokemon of Gen 2, I really wanted to get my hands on one. But I believe you don't get it until late in the game. So that was...
Yeah, you can only really catch Larvitar at the very last stage, really, in Mount Silver. But it can also appear in the Safari Zone, so you can get access to it earlier on, like towards the end of the first half of the game, I guess we'd say.
Yeah. See, at the time, I didn't have access to the internet, so I didn't know about the Safari Zone, so I literally just waited until I was done with the game. That's when I got my hands on Tyranitar.
And of course, as part of the storyline in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you encounter a scripted shiny Pokemon, a Pokemon that is made to be shiny in the game, to sort of introduce that to players. It came in Generation 2, and Heart Gold Soul Silver were the remakes of Generation 2.
Yeah.
Do you remember that moment when you first found the red Gyarados?
Yeah, I asked my friend, why is it red? Yeah, so I was like, why is it red? So that's when he explained to me that it was a shiny. And I'm like, what does shiny mean? Does it have boosted stats? So, yeah, it took a bit of explaining to me. Yeah, I think that's when I got introduced to shiny Pokemon. I don't think I found one at all in Platinum. I don't think so, because I don't remember. I would remember, but I think my first shiny that I caught was the one that was basically handed to you.
Planted the seed for shiny Pokemon that is going to blossom over the rest of your topics, I'm sure. But now, time for the third Pokemon on your dream team. So who's going to join Lucario and Garchomp?
Yes. Okay. So the third Pokemon on my dream team. Let's see. I have my list over here. It is actually the one who took over Chimchar's place as my favorite starter, and yeah, and it's Bulbasaur actually. So Bulbasaur, I got a team full of like menaces, Garchomp and Lucario, like absolute demons on the battlefield, and then there's cute little Bulbasaur, which over the years, yeah, it just kind of dethroned Chimchar. I buy a lot of Bulbasaur merch. Like I can show you, for example, like I can show you this. Like look at him, he's just sitting on a little pouch, cute little Bulbasaur. I love the aesthetic. I loved Bulbasaur in the anime. So Bulbasaur is my third Dream Team member.
Wow, okay. When you said that Chimchar was dethroned, I assumed it would be by something from a later generation. But no, okay. And even then, when you played through Pokemon Blue, you chose Charmander. So when did Bulbasaur come into the picture?
It actually wasn't until, I would say, 7th, 8th grade when, we'll get to this later, but when X and Y came out, and you know how Professor Sycamore gives you the option of 3 Pokemon, and I chose Bulbasaur. Then, like, even though I chose Charmander early on, I chose Bulbasaur in X and Y. And I guess ever since X and Y onward, Bulbasaur has been my favorite starter. Purely because of, there's a lot of art around Bulbasaur, and I just think he is so cute. Bulbasaur is so cute.
Definitely very cute. Well,
and the merch is amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bulbasaur, welcome to Angelo's Dream Team. So, yeah, you've teed it up perfectly for us, Angelo. Now time to talk about X and Y, which was pivotal for you.
Yes, X and Y was the pivotal generation for me. And basically why is because it is the game that got me full time into shiny hunting. I remember, so before this, I would just, I knew about shiny Pokemon. I would never go out of my way to willingly hunt them, except for one time in Black and White, which I spent 2 months in like the double grass trying to find like a shiny Drifblim, I believe, and I ended up getting a shiny Trapinch. So I didn't get the target, but yeah, that was like my first full odds, like 1 in 8,000 hunt. But that was like a one-off kind of thing, I just wanted a shiny for my playthrough. It wasn't until X and Y when I fully got into it, and before shiny hunting in X and Y, I would I would just breed for good IV Pokemon because I was interested in competitive. So when I found out that you can also like hatch competitive Pokemon and hatch for shinies at the same time, that's when I fully got into shiny hunting because if you guys don't know how breeding works in the game, if you have 2 parents, both of opposite nationalities, you have a higher chance of hatching a shiny. And basically what you can do is you can have like a Ditto. Well, I had a Japanese Ditto with like decently high IVs. I think it was like 5 IV at the time. And then I would breed really good parents. So like I would breed until I get like a 5 or 6 IV parent of the Pokemon that I wanted. Breed it with that Ditto, and they would hatch like really good IVs and shiny. So that's what really, pushed me forward. And the first one I did this with was with Honedge, because I saw shiny Honedge from a clip on YouTube, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. The red blade and the purple as well. I needed to get my hands on one. So basically, I Masuda'd Honedge. I hatched it in like 300-ish eggs. It was pretty fast, under odds, and I kid you not, the IVs at the time were flawless. So my first shiny that I hunted in X and Y was flawless. It had 0 speed, which, if you guys don't know, is pretty good on Aegislash because you want it to move second. And 0 speed, it had flawless HP, attack, defense, and special defense. So it was perfect for the King Shield, Sacred Sword, Shadow Sneak, and one other move, Swords Dance. It was that set. And I just fell in love with shiny hunting after that. The thought of like getting competitive shinies was so cool to me. So yeah, that's what really got me to shiny hunting. X and Y.
That's an incredible story, an incredible find that you got that shiny Honedge, which had the stats that you wanted, and it was shiny. Yeah, of course, as you say, if you have two Pokemon from different languages of the game, and produce an egg from those parents. I realize to anyone who's not so familiar with how Pokemon breeding works, it all sounds very, very intense and involved. But a lot of care and consideration has gone into the process. And yeah, it's another, as you were saying before, Angelo, it's another grind in itself to try and hatch these eggs that will hatch these Pokemon that have the stats that you would like, potentially whether they're shiny or not as well. Slightly higher chance to hatch a shiny Pokemon if they are from two different languages. And IVs, as you say, essentially just stats.
They're just
in
stats,
the Pokemon games, and actually, Angelo, it's funny you mentioned that you were hunting in Generation 5 for a shiny Drifblim, because up to when Generation 5 came out, I had found two random shinies, one of which was a shiny Drifblim in Pokemon White. So
I could use that.
Wasn't even hunting for it, but managed to find one,
crazy.
so I was very lucky.
Yeah, the Trappish I found, I don't even have it anymore. I don't know what happened to it. But I did keep one. I still have a shiny Druddigon from that game. That
wow.
Yeah, and like Druddigon, like I don't think there's like a really efficient method to hunt it in without Masuda. So the fact that I caught a shiny Druddigon in a 1-8, 192 game, I'm so proud of it. It's my oldest shiny that I have. So
wow.
Yeah, it was
incredible.
The OT I used at the time was Potato. I would call myself Potato in my Pokemon games before I transitioned to Angelo full time. So in my shiny living decks, that's the only one with the OT Potato.
Wow.
Like out of like my 600 plus shinies in my living decks right now, that's the only one. So
that's well. What a lovely story. And Masuda, as you say, it's so called the Masuda method, this method whereby you have two Pokemon from different languages of the game and you breed them together for those increased shiny odds. A fan-made term based on the surname of one of the minds behind Pokemon. So, brilliant. Now it's time to discover what's going to be the fourth Pokemon on your dream team alongside Lucario, Garchomp, and Bulbasaur.
Well, perfect segue, because the fourth member of my dream team is Aegislash. As you could have guessed, it is my channel mascot, the Pokemon that got me into shiny hunting, and yeah, I just love Aegislash. The design is sick. It reminds me of one of my favorite animes, Bleach. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but Bleach is all about like Soul Reapers, and they all have swords called Zanpakutos. So I basically name all of my Aegislash after the anime, and it's super cool. Because I grew up watching Bleach, and I also grew up Masudaing a lot of Pokemon, so they go hand in hand. And yeah, Aegislash is my fourth team member, and I can't wait for ZA because Aegislash is back. Let's go! I can't wait. I will be hunting an Aegislash in that game first on release, first day. I don't know if I'll get it, but, you know, I'll try.
Perfect, yeah. For all of the reasons you explained, Aegislash joining the team, that makes a lot of sense. And presumably shiny.
Yes, shiny Aegislash specifically.
Shiny Aegislash.
It has to be shiny.
But the first three Pokemon that you've mentioned, not shiny?
No, just Aegislash.
No, just Aegislash.
Yeah, just Aegislash.
Very nice. Well, Aegislash, welcome to Angelo's dream team. And now from there, Pokemon providing a virtual escape from college.
Yes. Okay, so I went to college. It was quite the experience, because halfway through college, not even halfway, it was like first year of college, COVID happened. So I was kind of enjoying campus life. It was going great, and then we just got sent home because COVID, and that basically lost 2 years of my college experience. And then when we went back, I basically had to find my own apartment outside of university, because they only allow you to live on campus for 2 years. And so I lived the first year, but halfway through the year I got kicked out because of COVID. And obviously sophomore and halfway through junior year was all online. So the other half of junior year and senior year, I had to find an apartment or my own living space out of campus. And we obviously couldn't afford much. I went to school in San Diego. So San Diego is expensive, especially, if you're trying to find a solo apartment. So the only way we could make do was either a room with a bunch of other like random people, or that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. And at the time, I was basically going back on campus, and it was getting hard to find a place to live. So the only place that was available was it was a living room. It was a living room. The only privacy I had was basically the curtains. Like, basically, I had my own corner of the living room with curtains. So not much privacy at all. And I wasn't really enjoying my major. If you don't know, I was majoring in computer engineering, which I don't think my heart was fully in it. I ended up switching majors. So I didn't like going to class. I didn't like my living situation. I was basically in, a living room full of other people. So Pokemon was an escape. On Black Friday, I saw that there was an Elgato on sale on Amazon. So I decided, why the heck? I'll just buy it. I have extra money laying around. So I bought it for Black Friday. And that is when I started recording my shiny hunts, because I thought it would be cool to keep like a journal, like a video journal of all the shinies that I found. Never did I think that it would go anywhere. I would just record the shinies that I found, some funny challenges, like shiny hunting, whatever you pull in the card pack. That was my first video that blew up. So like fun, silly challenges like that. I decided it would be cool to have like a journal on YouTube. Yeah, just recording shiny hunting was my way of escaping college life, because I didn't really enjoy my time there. Like, I think it would have been different if COVID didn't happen, I would like to think, because like I said, I was really enjoying my time there pre-COVID, because I had a lot of friends. I made a lot of friends that first year. I enjoyed living on campus, and basically once COVID hit, the friends I made, I basically stopped talking to. Like, we just stopped talking to each other, so it was kind of rough.
I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear about your college experience after the pandemic as well. That sounds really, really difficult. But I'm glad that you did take that chance. You went for that Elgato face cam, presumably.
No, it was the Elgato HD60S, which was the capture card that you can use to record your Switch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I got.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad that you were able to find a capture card so that you could get that footage for your shiny hunting videos. The more, of course, as you say, that provided a bit of an escape from everything that was going on at college. But the more you recorded, did you find yourself thinking, maybe I want to do this more regularly?
Yes. So basically, one of my first videos was catching the Baxcalibur line. It's like, this is like vintage Radiant right here. Where basically I caught the entire Baxcalibur line, I trained them up, and I showed their moves. That was like my first glimpse at like the structure behind my videos. I would catch the shiny, like the reaction, and then show off the moveset that I gave them. And I got a comment on there that I really liked. It was a super nice comment. Enjoyed the video, hoping to see more. So basically those comments really fueled me to keep going. I think someone asked me, how does it feel knowing like you're a lot of people's motivations to shiny hunt? And I'm like, I just feel so honored. And it also, motivating them motivates me to keep going, to keep making more videos. And it's like a nice little cycle. And that's when I knew, like, I could really do this like thing for a long time to come, because my entire goal, this was before YouTube, like I said, it was like the living shiny competitive decks. So having it on video was just, something cool that I had in mind. But I didn't think that people were too interested to watch or see. But as soon as I got like a glimpse or like a small hint that people were interested in like my journey, that's when, I just decided to make videos regularly on my channel.
Very inspiring stuff. So at what point did you said that by the time you were recording, you already had the aim in mind of doing a competitive shiny living dex. When did you have that idea first?
It wasn't X and Y. It was definitely around Sun and Moon, I believe, because that's when they added bottle caps. I remember. Bottle caps, and then further enhanced in Sword and Shield when they added mints. So basically, the combination of mints and bottle caps together made this like it was like a dream at the time in like X and Y because obviously like the Honedge I bred was flawless, but you're not always gonna breed flawless shinies. I've bred many shinies like Cyndaquil and like Binacle for some reason that were missing one crucial stat. It was like defense or like special defense or worst case scenario speed, because speed is very important. So Masudaing and then having like an imperfect shiny would be gut wrenching, or like if you're hatching a hidden ability, for example. If you're hatching for a hidden ability shiny, that's even harder. So when they started adding items that made my life easier, mints, bottle caps, patches, capsules, I think that's when I decided to go fully ham. Like when I Sword and Shield, I would say Sword and Shield was when I went fully ham on it, and that's the game I Masuda a lot in. So a lot of my shinies in Sword and Shield were from Masuda because I can get a decent amount of IVs and nature correct. So all I had to do was, if it was missing the hidden ability, just give it a patch, and if it was missing one stat, just bottle cap it one time, and then it'll be flawless. So yeah, that's when I fully went into it, Sword and Shield.
Yeah, for anyone who's not familiar with some of the terms there, yeah, the bottle caps enable you to bring an innate stat that isn't as high as it could be up.
Yes.
So that is perfect. And then mints allow you to change the nature of a Pokemon. The nature of a Pokemon determines which stat has a slight boost and which has a slight decrease. But changing that to your advantage for whichever nature is going to serve the Pokemon best competitively. And that makes sense as to why you would then start to have that idea that has now set the course for your channel. So brilliant. Now it's time to discover what's going to be the fifth Pokemon joining your dream team alongside Lucario, Garchomp, Bulbasaur, and Shiny Aegislash.
So the next team member I would say would be... I should have added this earlier, but I'm adding it now. It is Giratina. Specifically, Shiny Giratina, because Shiny Giratina is my favorite Shiny Legendary of all time. Like I said, Platinum, first game. Mascot Legendary was obviously Giratina, and it was super... I saw the shiny when other shiny hunters hunted for it on YouTube. I think one iconic one was like Supreme Arcanines when when his game froze. So that was rough. And like, I don't know, it was always one of my dream shinies. So I decided to go for it in BDSP, and it was rough. 11,000 plus. I basically went... If you guys don't know, the odds in BDSP for a shiny are 1 in 4,096, and the shiny charm doesn't work on the legendaries. So I went double odds until I got it, so 11,000 plus soft resets. But it was worth it. I don't regret it one bit. It was worth it. Shiny Giratina is awesome. I also enjoyed Giratina and the Sky Warrior. The movie was also really cool. It really... I think Giratina has a stigma of being evil, but then the movie really showed me like Giratina's just a sweetie. A cute puppy dog. So made me love Giratina even more.
BDSP, the remakes of the Generation 4 games, Brilliant Diamond,
Yes,
Shining
Brilliant
Pearl,
Diamond, Shining Pearl.
and yeah, the Shiny Charm normally boosts your chances of finding shiny Pokemon. So, Shiny Giratina and your favorite shiny legendary Pokemon. Your favorite legendary Pokemon, or specifically your favorite shiny legendary Pokemon?
I think it's both. I think they both
Yeah,
both
makes
hold the title, yeah. So
Yeah, okay. Well, welcome to the team. And before we discover who's going to be rounding out your dream team, Angelo, now it's time to talk about the present day.
present day, yes. Okay, so now I am just basically creating content full time, which is it was my dream to always, this is my dream job. Basically, make videos, stream, share my journey of shiny hunting, and I'm just super blessed that I have an amazing community that I built from scratch. That they're very loyal, and they always show up to every stream. They always comment on videos, and I try my best to respond to them in every video. And yeah, like, I love my community. They're so sweet. I'm just trying to pay off my college debt. So once that is fully out, I'm gonna hopefully move into my own place and, you know, stream a lot more, basically. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Life is good. I should be on track to pay off my college debt before the end of the year. I think by August. So I've been every month just heavily, aggressively paying off my debt. So I just want to be free of that. And YouTube has been providing, like, obviously the income to pay off my debt, which is amazing. And I hope to do this full time. And I'm excited to make content on ZA when that comes out and future Pokemon games to come. So we'll be here for a while. Because we still have a lot of shiny Pokemon to catch. The whole reason why I have this goal is because it's not to rush it. It's to enjoy the entire journey. Like, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. I think that's a quote, right? That basically allows me. It gives me an excuse to make a lot of videos and space it out as time goes on. Like, recently, I just finished my catching every shiny legendary video. For now, until Pokemon obviously brings more shiny legendaries. But for now, I have them all, and it was a nice little accomplishment that I made. A lot of fun moments on the channel and Twitch. So, yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Remind us how long it's been since you made your very first video to now.
So I made my channel back in March 17th, I believe, of 2023. I believe that was the year. So 2023.
Wow.
And
so only 2 years.
Yeah, I've only been at this for 2 years. So I'm a novice YouTuber. I made my first video in April. It wasn't even like a full video. It was a channel teaser where I said, join me on my journey to go for this shiny living competitive decks. It was like a 20-minute teaser, or 20-second teaser. And that was my first upload. Basically, ever since, I've been at it for 2 years now. We're almost 50,000 subscribers strong. And I'm just super happy with the growth of the channel. So,
yeah, that's incredible. I was going to say, you say you're a novice, but you've already got so much experience, and everything's happened so swiftly and deservedly so. That's incredible to hear about your story. What video right now are you proudest of?
What am I most proud of? That's hard because my most viewed video is my catching every shiny Ultra Beast video. That one was super fun. But I think the video that I'm most proud of at the moment is, I think, the Mega video, catching every shiny Mega video, because that's the video where I really went all out. I think I went all out in that video and put all my effort in. I hunted across various games. I did my best to hunt using a variety of different methods to showcase them. Like, Dex Nav was in that video, Masuda method, obviously PLA and Scarlet Violet. If you guys don't know, PLA is Pokemon Legends Arceus. And yeah, I think even Friend Safari, or I'm not sure. Let's Go was on there. Let's Go. And that was the first video where I hunted across multiple games and methods, and there was a really awesome moment in that video. As we all know, Mewtwo has a Mega, so I hunted for Mewtwo in that video. I caught my first one relatively fast, and I caught it on my first Pokeball that I threw, because it was 1 HP, it was asleep, and all I had to do was throw a Pokeball. I caught it in a nest ball. So, first Pokeball, and I was shocked. And I wasn't planning on going for a second one, but then my chat was like, yo, where's your second Mewtwo? There's 2 Mewtwo forms. Yo, where's your second Mewtwo? Second Mewtwo when? And after a bit of pre-pressuring, I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go for a second Mewtwo. So, went for a second Mewtwo on my other copy of Ultra Moon. And, oh boy, this Mewtwo was... it was a battle. So, I got it fast. I think only like 200 resets, because I had Shiny Charm in that game. So, the odds are 1 in 1365 for a Shiny. So I caught mine in 217 resets, but it was the polar opposite for catching wise, right? The first Mewtwo I caught in the first Pokeball, the second Mewtwo had 0 PP left by the end. So if had one turn not gone my way, like it was paralyzed, right? So had it not been paralyzed for 1 or 2 turns, I would have failed it. It would have struggled because it was 1 HP and paralyzed. That was like one of the most. I wish I had a heart tracker or like a heart rate monitor when that happened, because in the video my hands were shaking. I was like, I was this close to failing a shiny Mewtwo, and
wow.
and Chow would never let me down if that happened. So luckily I caught it. So the first Mewtwo was first Pokeball. The second Mewtwo was literally on the last possible Pokeball before it struggled. And the stark difference made that video super memorable for me. And yeah, it's going to take a lot to beat that, in my opinion.
Luck was on your side that day. Wow, that's incredible. And for anyone familiar, Mega Evolved Pokemon, some Pokemon have a temporary form on top of their ordinary final form, grants them new abilities, potentially a new typing, Mega Evolved Pokemon. And PP, as you say, the power points that Pokemon have to use each of their moves, and when you run out, then you use a move called Struggle, where you deal a bit of damage back to yourself. So if the Mewtwo had knocked itself out, then you wouldn't be able to catch it. So fascinating, Angelo. So now it's time to complete this dream team. Who's going to be Pokemon number 6?
Yes, Pokemon number 6 is another cute little fella. It is actually Fuecoco, because Fuecoco has stolen my heart the moment I saw it in the trailer. I mean, there's not a thought behind those eyes. I love them so much. I think Pokemon really nailed down the design of Fuecoco, and I love him. He's like me. Like, no thought behind these eyes. I just kind of just stare. You know, like the man, the man standing emoji, where he's just like standing there, like the man standing emoji. That's literally Fuecoco. So, yeah, I love Fuecoco so much. And
I think you're doing yourself a disservice there, Angelo. There's clearly a lot of thoughts going on behind those, going on behind your eyes. That you wouldn't be in the position you are now if not.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I think I just resonated with Fuecoco the moment I saw him. So, Fuecoco, I would say, also dethroned Chimchar. So like the ranking goes Bulbasaur, then Fuecoco, and then Chimchar for my top 3 favorite starters.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, Fuecoco, welcome to Angelo's Dream Team. And this means, Angelo, that your complete Dream Team is Lucario, Garchomp, Bulbasaur, Shiny Aegislash, Shiny Giratina, and Fuecoco. I'm assuming not Shiny Fuecoco.
Nah. He's a special little guy. So
yeah, regular Fuecoco.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a couple of little Pokemon there, and specifically those little Pokemon are not only first partner Pokemon, but they're from opposite ends temporally of Pokemon. We've got Generation 1 with Bulbasaur and Generation 9 with Fuecoco. You've got your favourite legendary Giratina in there. So a good mix of the competitive angle that you like to lean into, as well as the cuter angle, and a couple of shinies in there too. Yeah, so it's a really strong balance. In terms of types, we've got Steel and Ghost. We've got another Ghost with Giratina. Fuecoco's Fire, Bulbasaur Grass Poison. We've got Lucario Fighting and Steel, so double up on the Steel as well. And then Dragon and Ground. But your favourite type is Dragon.
Dragon.
A couple of Dragons
2
on
dragons,
the team too. So,
two dragons.
This all, it's all complements each other very nicely. But now it's time, Angelo, to ask you, if you could choose one of these to be your partner Pokemon, which would it be?
It would be Aegislash, without a question. Without a question. That's my mascot. I will always go with Aegislash. Been through a lot together, so Aegislash all the way.
Yep. I suspected. Angelo, I suspected. Sometimes, though, guests will surprise me, and a Pokemon that they've has been their favourite isn't going to be their partner for whatever reason, but for whatever reason. Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
But it will be Shiny Aegislash being your partner Pokemon. Yeah, well, a perfect answer. And now, time for a slightly different kind of question, Angelo.
Yes.
If you were a Pokemon, what do you think you would be?
If I were a Pokemon, okay, I thought a lot about this the other day. If I were a Pokemon, I low-key think I'd be a Lotad. Because Lotad, if I'm not shiny hunting, I just like to lay around and just watch anime, chill. And when I'm not streaming or studying back in the day, I just like to turn my brain off. So that's why I said I resonated with Fuecoco. I just like to turn my brain off, just chill, and I think Lotad resembles that a lot, because Lotad is just Lotad is living life, enjoying it to its fullest, and just just vibing. And I think the vibes is what I really like about Lotad.
Pokemon with a lily pad on its head, and just it really does encapsulate that, just chilling in a lake, just going with the flow, quite literally.
Yeah, literally going
and
with the
water
flow.
and grass as well, which I think is a pretty good type combination for you, actually. I can see you being represented by the water and grass type.
Yes.
Lotad.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great choice. What do you all think? Do you agree that of all the Pokemon, Angelo would be a Lotad? Let us know in the comments, because we'd be fascinated to hear. And speaking of you all, it's time for your community questions. I posted online, as I always do, asking for questions from the community for my guests, in this case, Angelo. Thank you so much for submitting them. We had loads of questions coming in, and I just apologise that I won't be able to feature them all. But let's kick things off here. I apologise if I mispronounce anyone's name or handle. We're going to start off with a question from Agent V, who is someone I featured on this very podcast as well, so do check out that episode if you haven't already. Fantastic Pokemon content creator and shiny hunter too. V would like to know, a really interesting question here. So, as you said, as well as shinies, you go out of your way to train them competitively and give them ribbons. How is your battling experience, and do you prefer singles or doubles?
Okay, so my battling experience, I would around Black and White and X and Y. That's when I really start, like Black and White 2 specifically. I would go out of my way through like threads and forums trying to find battles, and because I was really super into it. I think I prefer singles because a lot of my Pokemon are trained to be singles. But I think most recently, I've grown an interest in doubles, especially from a lot of people's favorite YouTuber, PokeTuber, Wolfie VGC. He makes a ton of incredible VGC videos, and I love watching him compete. So, there's a little VGC interest somewhere there. So I'm definitely interested, but mostly singles. Most recently, I did like an 11-hour stream singles. It was singles. Beginner to Master Ball rank in Scarlet and Violet. So the stream didn't end until I got from beginner to Master Ball rank using only shinies that I trained up. And that really limits a lot because if you guys don't know, some of the most broken Pokemon right now are like Miraidon, Koraidon, like those Pokemon that are shiny locked. So I couldn't use them in the challenge. So I was stuck in like Ultra Ball tier for like 5 hours. I would like win one, lose one, win one. Like I would basically stay in place for like 5 hours. Just losing to Miraidon over and over. Until I decided, you know what? I've had enough. I took out my shiny Groudon from Pokemon Home, and I think that was a missing piece to finally hit Master Ball tier. And yeah, I think I watched a lot of singles battlers growing up, and a lot of the Wi-Fi battles they did were really entertaining. Like it was like a lot of YouTubers who did Wi-Fi battles that would record post commentary, and I would eat that, or I would like watch that while eating, or whenever I'm bored, and that really drove me into getting into singles and battling in general. And yeah, singles is my preferred form, but I have a little interest in VGC for sure.
Well, as a competitive Pokemon video game caster, Angelo, hope to see you at some point at a tournament down the line. Great that you give a shout out to Wolf there. Wolf will actually be my 50th guest.
I saw,
on the
that's
podcast,
awesome.
Coming in a few weeks' time, the first week of April, I believe. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. And just briefly, Angelo, so ribbons was a part of V's question. Can you just briefly explain to anyone who's not familiar what they are?
Ribbons are like a cosmetic. They're like extra cosmetics that you can give your Pokemon by completing certain challenges. For example, there's an EV effort ribbon, which if you guys don't know, EVs are not the Pokemon EV, but effort values are basically like extra stats that you gain by defeating specific Pokemon. So for example, if you take down a Starly, I believe, you gain +2 speed EVs. So they're basically extra stats that you can give onto your Pokemon, and there's like an EV effort ribbon. There's a friendship ribbon for getting max friendship. Ribbons were never really like mandatory for me. Like I was never really like actively going for them. It's just something I gave to my favorite Pokemon to make them unique, to show that I've been through a lot with them. For example, the Aegislash that I have has like, I'm pretty sure since Generation 6 has all of the champion ribbons on him. So like the Kalos champion, Alola champion. It's just a cool extra cosmetic thing that I really enjoy. And I guess ever since I've been adding them on all my Pokemon. Like I try to get at least 1 or 2 ribbons on all my Pokemon to show that, I did use them at some point. They're not just there being trophies. I actually did put in work with them. So that's why I get ribbons on my Pokemon.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you for explaining that, Angelo, and thank you for your question, V. So now,
V.
question from Ubi on YouTube. How did you manage balancing school and shiny hunting? And Ubi adds that they find it hard to hunt outside of the weekends, and apparently they're going for slightly ambitious targets, which I'm intrigued by. I don't know what those targets are, but yeah. How did you manage to balance?
It was definitely hard to manage, especially as someone who lived in a living room in college. I would have to basically only record and shiny hunt during when my roommates are out, basically. So it was balancing roommate schedules with my own class schedule, and basically whenever I had any free time, that's when I just shiny hunted. Obviously, school is priority. I focused on my schoolwork first because I knew that after that, I would have all the time to just shiny hunt. So prioritize my schoolwork. For example, if there's like a problem assignment given out on Monday, I would just tackle it the same day so I could shiny hunt the rest of the week. It was hard because at nature, I'm a procrastinator, so I had to break out of that habit in college. In college, it was a lot of getting work done early so I can have more time to shiny hunt and more time to work around my roommates' schedules. And yeah, as soon as I got an assignment, I just did it right away.
It was great to hear that it motivated you to be more organized. That's a great positive to have come out of it. So thank you very much for that question, Ubi.
Thank you so much.
Angelo's answer helps you there. So now a question from Luke Alex Davis on Blue Sky. What's your favorite shiny color?
Ooh, okay. I low-key think it's blue. I think blue is my favorite shiny color because I'm thinking back at some of the blue shinies. Like Generation 1 had so many good ones, like Mew, Nidoking. There's also Spiritomb in Gen 4. And part of Shiny Giratina, why I like it so much, is the blue that it gains over the red. So yeah, I think it's blue. Black being a close second, because black shinies are obviously very sleek. You can't go wrong with black shinies. Rayquaza, Greninja, Aegislash, how can I forget? But I think personal preference, I would have to go with blue.
It's interesting, isn't it, which shiny colors resonate with us. I'm kind of similar to you. Mine would be more like a turquoise.
Ooh,
so like
yes.
Piplup or Totodile, shiny Piplup or Totodile, or
those are nice.
Latios, for example. And play more besides, but yeah, okay, blue. And even down to just little accents that change, like with Giratina, as you mentioned there. Fascinating. Yes. Okay, well, thank you for your question, Luke. And our final question here from BlueFagox23 on YouTube as well, I believe. What, who, or anything at all drives you to be a better creator?
I think it's just it's a combination of my fellow Pokemon peers around me. Obviously, whenever they put out new content, I watch it right away, and I kind of like take notes of like, oh wait, maybe that's something I could use in my video, or a big one. I think shout out to Super Potion. A lot of his cinematography was what inspired my earlier videos. When B-roll was easier to get, they changed it in Scarlet and Violet, where like you can see before the camera worked, so you don't have to see the UI. So I would gain a lot of B-roll pretty easily, but now they changed it a bit. But a lot of like cinematography stuff, I got inspired from him. So a lot of my peers inspired me, and I think a lot of the commenters as well, my community, which it can be a double-edged sword because I'm like, wait, for the mega video, for example, I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do to top this? Like, this was like one of my pride and joy videos. I don't know how I'm gonna top this. So just using that as motivation to put out better content. Think bigger, broader. Like a lot of my titles have every in the title because, I go out of my way to catch every single, like baby Pokemon or every single Mega, Gigantamax. Just finding those videos where I one up my older ones also is a big motivation.
Well, yeah, you yourself as well. It's a great combination of things to motivate anyone. Really fascinating answer there. And in those words we all know so well, gotta catch them all. This is why Every is appearing in all of your video titles. And one day, you will have that complete shiny, competitive living Dex. Well, thank you so much, BlueFayGox23, and thank you for all of your questions there. If you'd like to submit a question for a future guest on Chazingdra Chats, then you can find my socials on X and Blue Sky, in particular at Chazingdra. That's where I post the call-outs for questions. I'd love to hear what you'd love to hear. All right then, Angelo, we've heard a lot about you up to now, but what's next for you?
What's next? Okay, so I have a big video I'm working on really soon. I guess I can just tease it right here. I am going to work on my Gen 6 shiny living Dex because, as we all know, ZA is around the corner. So I want to complete that Gen 6 Dex before it does. So basically, I have a lot of Pokemon I need, like Aromatisse. Like, Gen 6 has, in my opinion, the best shiny Dex in Pokemon. That's just... Okay, it's a toss-up between Gen 6 and 7. But there's so many good shinies in Gen 6... and I want to get them all. So that's the next big video I'm working on. Now that I'm done with the legendaries, and that's next. Other than that, it's more whenever ZA drops, ZA content, obviously. And yeah, the future's looking bright. I can't wait. Obviously, more Twitch streams as well.
And we can't wait to see what you get up to next either, Angelo. And you heard it here first. Generation 6 Shiny Living Dex video coming soon from Angelo. Very exciting indeed. And just fantastic that you're thriving. So final question for you now, Angelo. Looking back from now as a successful Pokemon content creator, all the way back to the younger Angelo, experiencing difficult times, borrowing Pokemon games from friends, what advice would you give to that younger you?
An advice I would give to my younger self would be to not let other people's words affect you so much, and to just follow your heart. So don't let other people's negativity affect you. When I was first starting my channel, I was blessed with so many heartwarming comments, and that's what kept me going. But then the one hate comment, so you can be flooded with a bunch of heartwarming comments, a bunch of supportive comments, but the one hate comment is the one that always sticks out to you and the one that always gets to you the most. And sometimes I would just think about that all day. So I've gotten better at it now. I don't let hate comments get to me anymore. And yeah, I think just focus on yourself, focus on being the best version of yourself. Yeah, I think I should have definitely, if I would have started this earlier, I definitely would have. That's what I mean when I said follow your heart. I was thinking about it during COVID, but I just basically did nothing. If I started sooner, I probably could have, grew my channel over COVID and been successful that way. Yeah, I guess that would be my two advice. Follow your heart and just focus on yourself. Don't let other people's comments get to you, under your skin.
Might have been a route that you didn't take, starting to create content on stream over COVID, but who knows, if you had done that, maybe you wouldn't have found the success that you have now. We just don't know.
That's true.
The point is that you're doing brilliant now, and really brilliant advice as well, especially in this online age where so much of what we do is public. Just sticking to your own tempo, I guess we'd say in Pokemon terms. Very, very important. Well, thank you so much, Angelo. And the chat does not end there, because we will now be getting into Angelo's Rapidash round. 15 or so minutes of bonus questions that Angelo has not prepared for. Questions like what advice Angelo would give to aspiring creators, what other highlights from Angelo's content would he want to pick out, and what would Angelo consider a shiny encounter in real life. Questions like that and many, many more. If you'd be interested to hear, then you can find Angelo's Rapidash round on my Patreon, which is linked below, where you can also support me as a creator. Fundamentally, really appreciate the fact that you've listened to or watched this episode in its entirety. But if you want to get to know Angelo EternalRadiant that little bit better, then the Patreon is linked below. Hope to see you over there. And Angelo, thank you so much for being my guest on the show. It's been brilliant to get to know you better, and thank you for sharing such wisdom and such inspirational tales.
It's been awesome being here. Thank you so much for chatting with me today, Charlie. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It's fantastic to have you on the show. And if anyone wants to keep up with you online, where can they find you?
They can find me on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/EternalRadiant, or on Twitter, Twitter.com/EternalRadiant with 2 T's instead of just one. Twitch as well is just, the same handle as my YouTube. And yeah, those are my 3 main platforms. I'm also on Blue Sky as well with the same platform, same tag as YouTube and Twitch. So yeah.
Make sure you're catching up with Angelo's fantastic content and streams, and indeed news. Let's monitor Angelo's progress on that shiny competitive living decks. Very exciting indeed. Now time for a bit of YouTube spiel from this end. If you've enjoyed, once more, please do like and subscribe. Really does go such a long way. And drop a comment too, because Angelo's given us so much food for thought, as with all of my guests. Do any of Angelo's Dream Team Pokemon tie in with any of your own picks? What would your 6 Dream Team Pokemon be? We would love to hear. And plenty more episodes of this podcast on the channel too. Approaching 50, as I said, with Wolfclick being upcoming as the 50th guest. But, shiny hunters, content creators, but also more competitive guests in the video game, in the trading card game, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Unite, casters, players, all sorts of people. There's bound to be something for everyone. So to spread the word about the show, you can use the hashtag 6Pokemon1Life Got plenty more content on my channel as well. I also stream competitive play, I stream casual play and shiny hunting challenge runs too. And I vlog events that I cast. I make silly Pokemon comedy skits. If you're a fan of everything that Pokemon video games have to offer, then my channel is the place for you. And I've got my socials at Chazingdra, Blue Sky, X, Instagram, and TikTok. They're all linked below as well. So please do have a follow along on there. Hop into my Discord community, Chazindra's Chocolate Factory. Come and join the merry folk. It'll be a pleasure to see you in there. Any suggestions for guests for the show? Any feedback on the show? Chazingdra@gmail.com is the email you need. Or, of course, the handles that I mentioned at Chazingdra. And episodes of this podcast drop every Wednesday. All right then, Angelo, with that being said, it's time to get into your Rapidash round. So if you're not joining us over on Patreon for that, then it's goodbye from Angelo.
Bye, YouTube, and everybody listening.
And it's goodbye from me. See you next time on Chazingdra Chats, where there'll be another 6 Pokemon, 1 life story. Okay then, Angelo, how are you feeling about these bonus questions?
Ooh, I'm a little nervous, but I'm also excited because, I don't know, I hadn't had time to prep for these, so I'm excited to see what kind of answers I'm going to give.
You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Yeah. Can't wait to get to know you that a little bit better. So let's start with those questions that I teased at the end there. First of all, what advice would you give to aspiring creators? You're someone who's had quite a lot of success in quite a short amount of time.
Yes.
What lessons have you learned from that time?
My biggest advice to creators would be to just be consistent.